Stay with us, because we will pursue the situation with United. Sir Jim did speak, and he urged patience amongst the fan base, saying, all right, yeah, we're out to topple City and we are out to topple Liverpool, but it's not going to happen tomorrow.
I'm in exactly the same page as Alex Ferguson. I'd want to knock them all off their perch. I mean, Alex was a very driven, very competitive individual. And, he just wanted to win, and that's the only reason we're there at United, I mean, we're friends in the sense that we're all in the Northwest, but they are the enemies, They're clearly our biggest rivals and competitors in the UK, and then obviously you've got 2 or 3 clubs in Europe. But no, absolutely. Yeah, that's what we're there for, knocking them off their perch.
So, who's he talking about? Man City?
Well, Liverpool, Manchester City.
Right.
But you wouldn't expect him to say anything other than that, would you?
No. I mean, it's like, there is an irony, isn't there, that we haven't been able to get a word out of anyone meaningful at Man United for the last 10 years. Now you can't get him to shut up, the new guy walking through the door. But what he's saying is probably right. What do you expect him to say? He is investing in Manchester United to build a better Man United. So the questions that are asked are formulaic and are going to come back with answers that I would expect him to say.
Yeah.
He's hardly going to turn around and say. I mean, you could suggest that he might turn around and say and show a temperate attitude and patience, but that's not going to fly with Man United fans. If he starts talking about a 10-year project or a 5-year project, all of a sudden he's going to lose some of the currency that everyone thinks the all-saving Jim Ratcliffe is going to bring to the equation. The man is a very, very formidable man and a very serious and significant individual in the world of business. We will see if that cuts through in football, because, as he himself has said, the biggest correlation between success and football is finance. It's not the only correlation, and he used Brighton as an example, but Brighton's success is not relative to Man United's expectations. So success for Brighton is nothing vaguely like that for Manchester United. Success for Man United is being top of the pile, year in, year out, winning a big bundle of trophies.
Again and again and again.
And again and again. So the correlation between money and success is a very straightforward line. Away you go, Jim, then. Because now you're going to need to be able to back that up with significant spending and spending it wisely, because no one suggests that Man United are shy of spending money. Yes, they could have spent more if the Glazers hadn't trousered £1 billion of interest payments and loan servicing and whatever else, right? But notwithstanding that, but judging by the current regime, they'd have only spent that £1 billion on worse players.
Yeah. I mean, the final line of what he said, spending money lavishly in the summer is not the solution. It's much more complicated than that.
No, it's both. You have to be lavish in your spending and educating in what you buy. You're going to be lavish. You're not going to be uncovering Andy Robertson from Hull for £8 million, right? You're going to be spending expansively. So it is lavish spending, but it's targeted, educated, thought through, diligent spending alongside the root and branch that's required in getting rid of some of these urchins in their dressing room that are not capable of performing at the level for Manchester United.
One thing he did touch on, we know that Mason Greenwood left the club by mutual agreement in August and joined Getafe in Spain on loan after a 6-month internal investigation into his conduct.
Is he still under contract to Manchester United? I think he is, though, isn't he?
Yes, he will be. Yeah. He will be.
So he's still an asset of Manchester United at this moment in time.
Correct. So Sir Jim said, and unpack this for me, Simon. He says we need to look at the facts, judge fairly, and take into consideration what the values of the club are. Then we come out of that with a decision. It's not appropriate for me to comment on Mason Greenwood.
Well, of course it's not, because he wasn't there at the time. And also, there were two ways of looking at this story. There is the media version of events, and then there is the version of events that the media has yet to see, and has been yet to report on, or has been stopped from reporting on. Yeah. Not suggesting that the subject matter is anything other than unpalatable. We've all heard the audio. We've all understood the circumstances, but we've also understood that there's a different set of dynamics behind it. What he's suggesting is Manchester United still in a position where they can rehabilitate this boy? Do I want to comment at this moment in time? No, I do not. Do I want to avail myself of all the facts? Does the image, does the optics of what happened with Mason Greenwood affect the values of Manchester United in a world where optics are important? Because you are talking about the way that the world looks at businesses now, football clubs, and looks at them in a certain way. So he is basically giving a very solid, sensible, uncontroversial answer to a leading question that he can't answer anyway. They're asking him the question because he's inhabiting the space where he's saying to those that will listen and to those that he's in business with now, leave the football side to me. I'll cure that problem for you. Right. So someone's going to necessarily say, well, what about this player then? How can you cure that? And his answer is simply, Well, I need to avail myself of the facts. It's not appropriate for me to comment on it at this moment in time. Does what we have seen so far align with the values of a football club? What are the values of a football club?
Well, listen, you would never shirk a question like this. For those who don't know, Greenwood was charged with attempted rape, assault, occasioning
I would if I was
actual
here. It's not shirking
bodily
the question.
harm.
He's answered it.
And controlling and coercive behaviour following social media posts which appeared to reveal a 22-year-old now forcing himself upon a woman.
He's answered it, Jim.
But the charges were dropped by the Crown Prosecution Service.
Now, there was a.
Would you have answered that exactly the same way as
I don't see anything wrong
Sir
with his
Jim?
answer. We need to look at the facts. There will be people that of a particular belief system that will be screaming at that observation. You know the facts. You know the facts. It's another example of abuse, or women being put in difficult positions, or misogyny. So the audience that believe that there needs to be real consequences for poor male behaviour will say, how dare you say we need to know the facts? The facts are settled in the minds of those that have determined that Mason Greenwood was guilty. So he actually has been quite brave to say we need to look at the facts, judge fairly, and take into consideration what the values of the club are. So what he's basically saying is, I'm not going to race the judgment. I'm not going to answer your question because it suits your headline that you want me to give you. I'm going to make sure that I avail myself of all the facts, make all the decisions, and then I'll make the right one for the football club. And if that means cutting this kid loose, he's still under contract with us, that means that. Or if it means we can capitalise on him because he's still under contract to us, and when the furores died down and he's had a decent season at Getafe, then we can sell him.
Sure.
It's a sensible answer. It's a grown-up answer. I think it's a decent answer.
Yeah. We look at the facts, judge fairly, and take into consideration what the values of the club are. And we stress that the charges against Greenwood were dropped by the CPS last February.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.